It is with deepest sadness that I, alongside my community, acknowledge the tragic loss of life within the Ōtorohanga district during last night's extreme weather event. I understand police have notified the next of kin, and we are working alongside them to support the whānau. This is devastating news for our community. Right now our focus is on supporting those affected by the widespread flooding, as well as the emergency workers and support agencies who are also helping. To the whānau, we extend our aroha, love and heartfelt condolences during this incredibly difficult time. The weather event hit Ōtorohanga district and the wider region last night and has been described as being significant, with the rainfall between 150 to 300 mils recorded. This is within sort of an hour. It may take a few days to fully understand the scale and impact across our community. We ask the community to please stay away from flooded areas and slips as it may be unsafe. Residents currently impacted by the weather event are being asked to self-evacuate if they do not feel safe staying in their home. The St David's Church, Te Karakangi Marae's, they're open to anyone who needs somewhere warm and dry. Council staff and emergency services continue to assess the impact and the damage to our infrastructure, which is extensive. Our civil defence team and council staff have all worked hard behind the scenes to ensure our response operation runs as smoothly as possible. I thank them for their hard work. If you need help, please contact 24/7 our call centre 0800 734 000. Thank you.
Okay, first off, if you could just give us a brief timeline from your understanding how the weather came in and what happened next.
The weather came in, well, I was actually having a meeting about a meeting next week, what you do when you're in there. And around about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, it started raining. Then I went back to my residence on Aotearoa Road, and it just got extreme. Like I was at work, and I only live across the road to get home, and just to walk across the road. So I ended up doing a bit more work than I normally do on a Friday afternoon. But it just got extreme, and then it just got worse and worse. And there's flooding like in paddocks. Well, I've got a little lifestyle block. The water was just, never seen it, that much water for such a, well, I've never seen it actually, and I'm nearly 60, so, and I've lived here my whole life. Just the weather bomb just came across, and luckily I own a trucking company, or my family does, so I got a little truck because you couldn't drive a car around some of the town, and sort of went around and had a look at the areas that the floods are designed for the flood zone to go into. They were kind of all filled right up, and the pumps were obviously under pressure trying to get rid of this is in the township, and but yeah, so I mean, kind of the system worked, but it was just inundated with just so much, just so suddenly. And
can you talk about the evacuations that you know? Are you across those? Just what they've been dealing with overnight?
I understand there's been about 80 people evacuated, mostly self-evacuation. Some people out in the Kiokio area, the river came up, so they had to get emergency services to help them out. They had to turn the power off, obviously, to be safe to evacuate them. There's one person on a hill. The hill slipped into the house, buried her car, and I understand she's got no insurance, which is really sad, but she's evacuated to her brother's house. And yeah, it's kind of, I mean, apart from this fatality, which really shows you what nature can do.
Yeah,
but
that area where you talk about where there was a slip on a hill and the slip went into her car, buried her car, that sounds very serious.
Oh, it is, yeah. You're right there, yeah.
Yeah. In that area, were there, like, did the
No.
house not see a need to evacuate more people, or in that area where the slip happened?
This was quite very late at night, and so they basically just assessed it. They made sure we got all the people out. It was one of the reasons why we declared, so we had the powers to make people evacuate if we needed to. But it was assessed, and then there's geotech people turned up this morning to make sure that the rest of it's safe. But yeah, it was pretty much just the one house isolated on that side of the hill. There was other slips on the other side, and there's obviously lots of slips and bridges washed out rurally around our district. So yeah.
Did you have to use any of those powers to move people on?
No.
No, it's all been self-evacuation.
Yeah.
Are you able to talk a little bit more about the fatality at this stage? What
No,
the situation was?
I have no information on it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just what I've read out. Yeah.
So you rolled out your civil defence. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I'm only new, so I get guided by the people. Really,
You've activated
activated civil defence emergency. I've only just but we just such a small community. We needed some extra help, and by activating that gives us that extra help that we kind of need. You've got to understand our civil defence people. They all kind of live locally. Some of them couldn't even get here last night to help out to fulfil their role. So like it was pretty much we needed to enact those powers.
As part of the response in the state of emergency at the moment, considering the number of slips that you talked about, are there any areas that you guys have identified as risky and where you would consider a forced evacuation of people for their safety within the next? Because we can see that the ground is still inundated in some areas, and I'm sure there's still land movement. Any risk areas?
Not that I'm aware of, no. In the briefing, that we weren't too worried about that now. It's just basically the people that were in the real high risk, I understand, they're safe, so we're not concerned.
Do you feel the worst of its past now, and it's really waiting for water to recede and being assessed damage? Can you talk about that?
I think as long as the weather, the weather stays fine, we're all right. But if we get another weather bomb, which that weather bomb wasn't predicted. Like, we're usually such a lucky area. We hear all these devastations around the rest of New Zealand, and we always sort of think, oh, we're lucky we missed it all. Normally our neighbours Waitomo get hit really hard. They didn't this time. It's just so localised how it came through our area, and they've been reaching out to us, offering support, and it's kind of like, we're not the lucky area. Nature chooses whoever nature chooses, unfortunately.
Was it quite scary watching how fast the town was inundated? I mean, it must have been quite frightening.
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah. Not for me anyway, because it's kind of...
Have you been out and spoken to the affected residents? What are they saying?
Not really, no. I haven't actually talked to the evicted people, no. Evacuated people, I should say, not evicted. Evacuated. Yeah. It's just been so full on doing, keeping up to speed. Like I went to bed about 2ish, 2:30 last night, and got up at 6.
So Neil, we know the Minister Mark Mitchell has been flown in.
Yeah.
Ōtorohanga.
Ōtorohanga. Peter, if you don't say it right, Peter will growl you. She doesn't know.
So what is the plan for the rest of the day with the Minister? Where will you be assessing?
I'm assuming he'll take him on. He'll want to be on the ground and realising, what damage there is, and hopefully he's got a central government checkbook for us to help our recovery. But he's offered all the services. So is the Minister Simon Watts for local government. I mean, at the moment we're just in support, keep people safe, keep them supported. It's really important that people stay away from flood, stay away from danger.
Considering how badly Kiokio Station Road was flooded, we saw some photos of the situation there. Are those 80 residents who were evacuated, is it likely that they'll be spending another night in shelters tonight?
Well, I don't think they'll be able to go back to their homes at this stage. But the friends, family, there's some people we put up in the camping ground. We've also evacuated their pets too. That's kind of a consideration. That's very important for people, their pets. So I don't know. It's too early, to answer some of your questions.
And the town's wastewater facilities were reaching full capacity last night. How are they currently looking?
Good, yeah. No, they're all, yeah, they've got some extra pumps just to come in, but it was just inundated with so suddenly. But they've
Something you look at upgrading in the future, because from my understanding, the flood banks did what they needed to, but it was when the wastewater facilities reached full capacity that there was some surface flooding in the town. Would you consider upgrading in the future to prevent this happening again?
any upgrading you do, you always lift the standard because the country has weather events, But I mean, there's a 4% rates cap the government wants to stick at, so you can't just go putting new pipes in willy-nilly. But it's definitely the systems. I think like the event is just so sudden, so thing. You know. And basically the network did what it could do, but it was at maximum, or over maximum stretched, you know. Got a little video of a manhole popped up because the water was flowing so fast, you know. Any new piping we put in, we upgrade it, you know, to a bigger or better standard, and we'll still keep with that policy.
Can you recall in your time in this town ever getting swamped like this?
No, not localised, yeah, you know. It has in different areas, farming areas and things like that, but not in the actual township like this. There's a few, you know, people we've talked to. Obviously the town was flooded years ago, but the stop banks handled that. You know, this time the stop banks actually aren't as high as they were back in, it was the last part of October when I first got elected. 2 days after I was elected we had a rain event, but it was more in the hillside in the country, and the country absorbs it and it sort of just comes to town. This was really localised, you know.
And do you feel like there was sufficient warning from Met Service, or how do you feel about the weather warnings?
Well, they've had weather warnings, but you fellas, everyone was quite focused on the east coast because it's, you know, hits them. It's a little bit, you know, like you know, this same day Gabriel wasn't in 23, you know, Friday the 14th, you know, good day to remember Valentine's Day, but and you know the weather, like I say, we don't usually get those weather bombs like this, you know. It sort of goes around the coast, like the east coast, and Coromandel get them, you know, Napier, Hastings, you know, So yeah, no, very unexpected.
Yeah, and last question from me. Can you just rattle off a little bit about what the plan is for the day? Obviously, the Minister coming in, you take him around and show him stuff, and then you assess from there. What's the plan for the day as it stands?
Oh, that, yeah, it's a revolving plan. It's nothing set. You know, we haven't got an agenda as such, but we'll just obviously he's going to want to know, have a look around. We'll go, you know, hopefully we'll go and meet not hopefully, but we will go and meet the evacuated people. And you know, we'll just play it by ear, really, I suppose. You know, deal with things as we deal, and pray the rain stays away.
How are you feeling seeing the damage and the flooding this time around?
It's more the people. The damage can be repaired, but this poor person that's lost their life, you know, there's going to be a family there bawling their eyes out, devastated. You know, so. But yeah, you know, that's the thing. People all make communities. Infrastructure is just infrastructure, you know.
And you're a close community here, aren't you?
Yeah.
So when something like this happens, I guess everyone's going to feel it.
Yeah. So.
I can see it's very emotional. And have you had a chance to talk to the family of that?
No, not yet. No.